This is Sky News at 7. Our top stories tonight. Tens of thousands protest and more than 2,000 are arrested after anti-Putin demonstrations across Russia. Senior doctors call for the time between the Pfizer vaccine jabs to be halved from 12 weeks to 6. Scientists suggest the Prime Minister moved too quickly to announce that the UK variant is potentially more deadly. Lebanon pays the price for easing restrictions as intensive care units reach almost full capacity. After the storm, severe flooding in Worcestershire, less than a year after residents were forced to rebuild.
Stress levels through the roof. I'm going to have nowhere to live for about 3 or 4 months while they fix it.
And in sport, news from the FA Cup and how Joe Root kept England in contention in the second test against Sri Lanka. Very good evening to you. Tens of thousands braved the bitter cold and the pandemic across Russia today in support of the jailed opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Mr. Navalny returned to Russia earlier this week after surviving an assassination attempt widely blamed on the Kremlin. More than 2,500 people have since been detained, including Mr. Navalny's wife, Yulia. Well, from Sochi to Yakutsk, protesters marched in Arctic temperatures to show their discontent. And in Moscow, thousands clashed with police. Sky's Moscow correspondent Diana Magne was there and sent us this report.
Free Alexei Navalny, a call that rang out across Russia today. In Moscow, they'd seen how cities across this vast landmass had come out to protest and how the police had responded. From Vladivostok in the Russian Far East to temperatures of -50 in Yakutsk, Siberia. In city after city, as the time zones rolled past, thousands, tens of thousands on the streets, and arrest after arrest. Even before the rally started in Moscow, the police were already busy, picking protesters at random out of the crowd. Navalny's wife Yulia was detained before she'd even joined the rally. His key ally, Lyubov Sobol, arrested as she spoke to the crowds.
Kazal means shame, and they are trying to clear us very forcibly away from this central area and arrest me, as you can see. It's a tug of war, basically, between the protesters trying to keep hold of their friends and the riot police trying to arrest them. This is a completely unnecessary use of police force against protesters who are entirely peaceful, who do nothing to antagonize or to provoke.
And all the time, the tannoy blaring for people to keep their masks on, to socially distance, but not much chance of that. This golden loo brush, a reference to the £600 version in what Navalny says is Putin's palatial residence on the Black Sea. That investigation, Putin's Palace it's called, has had 70 million views on YouTube since it was released on Tuesday. Demonstrators building their own little version out of snow. I don't like how we live in this country, this woman says. Here the elderly have to look through rubbish bins, and some people have palaces like Navalny showed us.
Do you think you'll be able to secure Navalny's release by coming out into the streets, though?
I don't think we're going to secure his release per se just by coming out to the streets, but we have to tell the government that we don't agree with these policies, that we don't agree with this behavior, and that we don't think it's okay. We need them to know that the people don't agree with this and that we're going to fight and that we're going to express our opinions, even if they beat us, arrest us, and fine us ridiculous fines.
As evening fell, a committed group moved on to the prison where he's being kept. The final violent arrests in a day of nationwide protest, as Navalny's team called for the same again next week. Diana Magne, Sky News, Moscow.
Well, let's bring you the very latest on the COVID-19 pandemic here in the UK. The government releasing the latest data showing that 1,300